Hello and welcome in. I am Miss Kinghorn and we are back here in our Red Lane Zoo. And I know this is coming on the Zookeepers DLC launch day, but we are adding in the Black-Tailed Prairie Dogs that we've got here. This is actually pre-recorded, I have to be fair. This was done probably about 3 days ago. So not too long, but I don't have the new pack as of recording of this. But how are you liking the new pack? What are you looking forward to? What animals have you already put into your zoo? Let me know down in the comments below. The animals are gorgeous. I've seen a few little sneak peeks as I'm literally recording this like hours before this is uploaded to YouTube. So yeah, I've had a little play and lots of content coming, and you'll see some of those in the future. There's going to be 1 or 2 that go into the zoo, I think. So keep an eye on those. I don't know when they're going to be, but you'll have to subscribe and find out. Yeah, continue watching as we develop this zoo in here. But there is lots of sort of new pieces, lots of things like that coming with obviously the new pack and obviously the update as well. So super looking forward to getting my hands on that and getting it into game and seeing what you're liking, what you're thinking in there. But yes, this is really going to be the last of the small little habitats at this end. So once we've done this, we're going to be probably moving into our sort of a phase 3 really of this zoo. So we have obviously got our main river ravine area, which we're kind of finishing off. This is probably the last habitat for that. It's not really part of that, it's kind of like in between the two, in between 1 and 3, and then obviously we have the Cream Family Farm, which is obviously using a lot of the barnyard animal pack as well. And now we're on to this one over here, which I'm looking forward to getting some of these animals in. I have to be fair, some of the animals coming in to this section here are gorgeous, and totally looking forward to getting them in. But we obviously got in the Cayman for those a couple of weeks ago, so if you haven't checked that out, definitely do. I will place a tag to that video up in the top corner so you can go and find that in there. And yeah, we are adding a new different fence. Now I don't tend to normally do this because I like to keep things quite uniform, but I feel like because of the way I really wanted this habitat to work, I felt a new kind of fence in here was going to be needed. And these guys firstly are tiny, but also this is a really hilly kind of habitat for them. The terrain drop in here is ridiculous. And I kind of knew when I was placing it that it was going to be a really big sort of drop. Even I didn't quite realise how steep I had put this down. So what I wanted in my head was for the guests, when they want this lower section, to kind of be face to face with the animals. Now a lot of zoos kind of either put the animals kind of down and have like people looking down on them, or they kind of raise them up. But I kind of wanted them to be face to face so you can actually look really close up at the animals, and so that's what I really wanted for that sort of lower section, which you can see a tiny little section of me trying to fit these all in. For some reason I knew how I wanted it in my head, but trying to actually get it into game, it didn't really work too well. I have to be fair, it took a little bit of fiddling around to try and get that in. But yeah, I think once we've all sort of done all of that and it's all looking good, I think it is going to properly work in here really well for them. I will let you be the judge. If you like it, let me know. If you don't think it really works, also let me know. Always interested to know what you're liking, kind of any feedback you have, whether it's I'm too loud, music's too loud, or you don't like what I'm doing, or this is wrong or that's wrong. Let me know into there. But that is basically now the boundary of this kind of habitat all done. So we've kind of put in the fencing, we've got in the rockwork and stuff like that, and you can sort of see here just how much I'm kind of having to fill in the terrain. I would not like to know how actually steep this is. It's gonna have to be something like 3 or 4 meter drop. Now naturally this was also on a slope coming down anyway, and yeah, it proved a bit of a challenge. So to kind of pretend like we kind of have a boundary kind of to stop the terrain sort of slipping for like mudslides or anything like that, we have placed some of these kind of stalactites. These are stands that I've used throughout the zoo and I created right at the very beginning. Before we even started on here, I kind of created kind of a mini asset pack really, with like rock walls, a couple of fences that I really wanted, and like sort of display boards and things like that for the sort of education and things like that, and I've tried to incorporate as much of that in as I could. But yeah, now we're on to the enrichment and getting all of that in. One thing I really hate, and that is that it clips out a lot of the flooring and the groundwork. I'm sure somewhere there is a tag that I can click to switch it on and off. I can't find it. I have been through all of these categories so many times. If you know where it is, again let me know. But yeah, so we've got a couple of feeders in, a couple of bits of enrichment. We will get a few more pieces in the hard shelter as well for them when we are working on that. I tend to do either the hard shelter at the beginning or at the end, and this week we are doing it at the end, and it kind of conjoins on to the one we did last week there for them. But yes, also this habitat I really wanted them to be kind of very sandy, kind of a little bit more deserty than what we normally do for them in here. So normally at this point I'd be saying we were going for very lush, kind of overgrown, lots of sort of plants. Yeah, we do all of that, but we kind of go for a very sandy version and a lot more sort of deserty in here. Now you can see here I am placing these rocks, these fake rocks down in the front here. You can see the amount of sort of clipping that I had, and I kind of wanted a way to kind of obscure all of this a little bit, so I thought let's place down some of these rockwork pieces in here to kind of create like it's really rocky and the animals can't get to it and they can't be like too close to the glass. I don't think the animals can escape. I have actually checked it, but obviously like in real life, like could they jump over? I don't think they could. It is quite a big wide kind of V I've put in here. But yeah, I kind of wanted to give the impression that it's very rocky and the animals wouldn't be able to get down there and things like that, which is really what I wanted for them in here. Now, the animals can traverse over all of these rocks. The keepers, maybe not so much, but the keepers don't really need to get down right to this close sort of bottom bit in here, and I think when we get up to the top pieces, I do lower them in slightly more to make it look a little bit more sort of less, still rocky, but only just sort of showing at the tops in here, which I thought is perfectly fine. Now obviously we have got these little offshoots in here. I do try to get in as many kind of enrichment and reasons for the animals to go around those sort of side pieces, which I think it just adds something kind of, and also where I put in the glass panels of sort of viewing, I wanted it to be like you can see them from here, but this bit's a little bit more obscured. You're going to have to move up to here or come down for that. That's kind of what I wanted. I want a sort of a very much a zoo, but also individual habitats where you can look at them from multiple angles, but you can't sort of see where you were looking 5 minutes ago sort of thing. I wanted those sort of viewpoints throughout all of that. But that is the rock work all done for this, and now we're going to be working on the grasses. So I did think I could get away with some of the greener kind of planting, but then thought no, let's go for the parched kind of bright sort of yellowy kind of planting in here, and it works out really well. As I say, I wanted this to kind of be maybe slightly different, a little bit more dense, but also these animals will eat a lot of grass. They literally, grass is pretty much all they eat, so I really wanted it to be very much a kind of like they've eaten it and it's kind of half dead, and it's just maybe a habitat where they spend like maybe 6 months in it, and then they're taken out of display and they're put in like a sort of a backstage kind of area for them, maybe during like the winter months or something like that, where they would need a little bit more protection, something like that. I feel like that's kind of something that they could do. Obviously this zoo is based really on the map. I think I chose like Florida or Texas or somewhere. It's in like the south of America, and that's why we're kind of doing an American kind of zoo, or an America's kind of zoo with lots of those sorts of animals in. We do have a few others that are not quite, but we've kind of pretended they're a different sort of subspecies of the same kind of animal, if I can get away with it, sort of thing. I've tried my best to do all of that in here, but in here I'm also placing down some of these white birch branches. I kind of wanted this to look like a little bit more of a kind of a dead area, where like if it's rained and like branches have fallen off something, they've kind of washed down to here, and I feel like there's like a drain underneath that would like take all of the water away and things like that. And I thought that was a really nice kind of little touch, just to get in some, like, there's some dead trees kind of down there, or like just the branches for them. They've just been collected. They're not really in the way or doing any damage, so I thought we'll just leave them in here. But now this is where we get in the trees, and some trees that I have not used so far in the zoo. So yeah, these are a bit of a different habitat, and I don't want it to look too different, but I also kind of want it to be a it to feel a little bit different, but not be too kind of crazy that it is so much different. Now we're using here the yellow ipin. It is a very broken sort of dead tree. I know I have used some dead trees in the past. I didn't really fancy using like the climbable ones because there's not really any need for them in here, so I just use those little ones in here, and they're looking really, really good in there as a nice kind of way, a little bit different, something in here to kind of break up all of this habitat a little bit more. But we are coming to the end of the actual habitat, and now we're working on the hard shelter. So as I say, this kind of conjoins onto the side of this one here that we have got in from last week, or the last video we did in here. So if you haven't checked that one out, definitely do. I will drop another tag to that one so you can sort of see all of that, so you don't miss anything. In case you have, then yeah, this is I don't tend to do very detailed backstages where I don't think like the guests will ever see them, because I feel like I'm conscious of piece count. I'm conscious of sort of keeping these videos as short as I possibly can. Maybe in the future we'll do a slightly longer video where we do a little bit more of a in-depth kind of backstage area. I definitely can sort of see some of the animals that are coming up could probably definitely use it. So looking forward to doing that and doing something a little bit longer and actually taking my time with it. I feel like I'm kind of not rushing, but I feel like I'm constantly in that sort of cycle of video, kind of wanting to get as much kind of out and not really spending too much time actually focusing on what I'm doing in here. And yeah, looking forward to doing, as I say, some more detailed habitats and backstage areas, which I've not really done any for this zoo so far, so it'd be a nice little one to do into there. But yeah, we don't really shoot too much of this. Obviously we get in the normal limestone, then we get in the plaster on the inside just to give it a nice little break and change the colours and sort of things like that. And then yeah, getting some cladding coming in, and then these little ones in here. Now I know that these animals burrow, but I kind of wanted some height to come into here rather than it just being flat on the floor and there being nothing. So I figured, why not place in these kind of little, I think they're actually the window pieces from the Oceanic pack, but they kind of make this gorgeous kind of like wooden kind of decked area where they can just sort of come up and sort of curl up and sort of settle into there, out of the way, sort of things like that. And it gives it a little bit more height in here too. And yeah, it just looks gorgeous. And I've got to be fair, the Oceanic pack is a pack I've kind of forgotten about, and I've not really like played around with it or used too much, and I don't think we've actually used really many of the animals. I feel like we were probably working on this zoo at the time and I kind of just ignored it, if I'm being fair. So definitely some stuff in there that I need to have a look at and check out. for that, but I'm getting in my standard kind of lighting kind of going in here. So we've got this sort of big strip light that just runs all the way along this side, gives a nice kind of soft glow for the animals in here as well. And then talking of doing a little bit of detail work, here is a bucket of carrots. I wasn't really sure at this point what they kind of ate, and so I was like, well, let's just put some vegetables in here. We've kind of got some carrots, we've got some cauliflower and marrow and pumpkins and things like that. So I thought, why not get a little bit of veg in here for them, and they can enjoy all of those. I didn't want to go for like potatoes because I know they're so small, but I didn't want to go too big, so I've just placed a couple of those down in here. And yeah, now we're on to doing the roof. It's pretty much the same kind of look and style as what we have got for next door, because I really wanted the two to kind of fit together, like they're built at the same time. They're very much like the same building, which I feel like would work in here. A lot of my sort of buildings, especially in this sort of section of the zoo, do look very similar, and I've done that on purpose, and I really wanted it to kind of be on purpose and to look the same. I know when we move into different areas we are going to get different pieces in and different ideas and different styles, but for now I have jumped ahead and done a lot more of the cladding in here. It's very repetitive, but I figured let's do this sort of over the sort of bit up here and fill in this gap here on the eaves in there. But yes, we are very, very close. This build went very quick, I've got to be fair, to get it in here. But what do you think? How are you liking it? Are you liking this zoo? Do you want to see something a little bit different? Let me know. I feel like I always kind of ask, because I'm like, I know what I like and I know what I like to build, but what you like to see in sort of your videos and things like that, is a little bit different. So let me know. And yeah, we are just putting in these pieces. Now this is the annoying bit, because I can't just pull it up from the bottom, so these each individually have to be moved across into the right places, and you learn very quickly that you're not quite right with some of them, and I end up having to double some of these little pieces up in here. But yeah, that is now all of that building all cladded out, and we are still fiddling with terrain because I cut that out right then, and getting in the actual proper barrier and keeper gate and things like that to come in here for them. Now I had a little bit of difficulty with this because I wanted it to kind of be flush with the sort of side of the habitat hard shelter, but in the end I just had to kind of give up and say it was here, and yeah, we get that all in. But now that's in, and I think at this point the animals are in, we totally forgot this section, so let's get working on that one in here. And yeah, I feel like because I've deleted it when we put in the sort of, because that's where the animals get in, and I wanted a nice sort of little door in here. Maybe they're sort of shut in over the winter or something like that, as I say. So I wanted a little door in here, and we're getting some more cover for them in there as well. And yeah, let's get that door in. It's a very simple, I just use these guttering pieces from, I think they're originally from the base game, and then I use the metal sheet here. It just throws a really nice sort of drop down in here, and the animals can use it. Obviously the keepers can't get in here, but then there is no food enrichment or anything like that in here for them. As I say, I did put in the I think there's a tennis ball and a, it's kind of like catnip. I'm not entirely sure what it's really made of, but it's like a herb kind of scent marker thing for them in here, so I've definitely done that as well. But that is the end, so if you had enjoyed it, give me a big thumbs up and subscribe, but I will see you next time. Bye everyone!